folks, it's Dominique here, bringing you a horror survival card game you might want to pick up for Halloween, or for any time you're feeling spooky. Camp Macabre was locally created in Nova Scotia and is a card game for 2 to 7 players. The game places you in a camp straight out of a classic 80s horror movie. Players gather campers to fight off monsters, and gather monsters to attack other campers. The last campers standing are the winners. Set up by dealing each player 3 camper cards, 1 weapon, and 1 item. Each player should also have a bush card. All remaining camper, weapon, and item cards can be returned to the box. Place all the woods cards in the middle of the table with the boneyard next to it. The turned cards are only used on an as-needed basis, so keep them handy along with the red tokens and the blue and red die. Each turn consists of 3 stages. First, players must play 1 camper from their hand if they have one. Some conditions of other cards may impede this, but otherwise players must start by playing a camper. Next, the players enter the combat stage. For the combat stage to make sense, I'm going to finish explaining the turn sequence and then we'll come back to how combat works. The final stage of the player's turn is to draw cards from the woods. The number of cards a player draws is equivalent to the number of campers the player has in play. If there is 1 camper in play, then they pick up 1 card. If there are 3 campers in play, they pick up 3. Campers, weapon, item, or twist cards that are drawn go directly into the player's hand. Any monster cards go face down on top of the bushes card. When a player draws their cards, that is signaling the end of their turn. And then play moves to the next person. But let's go back to the core of the game for a sec here, the combat stage. So during the combat stage, players can choose to attack another player's monsters with their campers, or another player's campers with their monsters. So campers can only attack monsters, and monsters can only attack campers. If these campers were to attack this group of vampires, the player with the campers, the attacker, takes the red die, and the player with the monsters, the defender, takes the blue die. Campers and monsters of the same kind always team up. So the attacker rolls the die and adds up all the red numbers on top of the camper cards, plus the number on the red die. The defender rolls the blue die and adds up all the blue numbers along with the number on the blue die. Whoever has the higher total wins. Monsters and campers can be equipped with weapons and items that have purple numbers. Regardless of whether the player is defending or attacking, the purple numbers get added to the final total. So here, the defender, the monsters, come up with the higher final score. So that means that the monsters win. The losing player needs to choose one of their cards from the active party and send it to the boneyard. Once the attack is settled, the player whose turn it is can choose to mount another attack, maybe with their monsters against someone else's campers, or they can complete their turn by drawing their cards. But how does a player get hordes of monsters at their disposal? Why, from the bushes, of course. Before declaring any attacks, the active player can go to the bushes and reveal some or all of the monsters they have gathered. It is important to note that unless a special twist card is in play, monsters can only be grouped with their own kinds. So zombies can only be with other zombies, and merc monsters can only be with other merc monsters. Once revealed, they stay in play until they're killed during a combat or the game ends. From the camper to the item to the monster cards, many of the cards in the game have special conditions or special abilities that can be used throughout the game. Weapons can increase attack or defense, while alcohol can lower it. Cards can be played against other players' cards or used to boost your own. Even some of the campers have special conditions that pair well with others in play. It's worth reading over the card's conditions each time you draw a new one into your hand because you never know what advantage or disadvantage it might give you. Camp Macabre is an easy-to-learn, easy-to-play card game with a great horror survival theme that's perfect to set up a scary movie watch party with your friends or to play between handing out candy on Halloween. It took our box expert a little bit of time to warm up to the game, but he seems to really like it, despite the small size. For more games like this one, be sure to check out comichunter.net for all your gaming needs. Happy playing!